Good morning. Welcome to The Human Author. My name is Jen Cantwell, and today I'm going to be reading from my work in progress book called The Warning. It's part of the epic fantasy series Light Chaser. You can learn more about that series at jbcantwell.com. So I'm going to go ahead and read yesterday's work. I don't know, but we shouldn't give up yet. Stand back. I'm going to do something dangerous. The others moved from the gates, going to hide behind a stone pillar next to the wall. This time, I conjured an orb of power, strong enough to kill just about anyone, maybe even Torin. There was a good chance it would come flying back in my direction, but I knew the magic was powerful enough that it might be able to break through the protections. It was not. Instead, they came right back at me, and I had to duck down in order to get out of its way. I watched as it flew through the square, finally coming to land on the staircase up to the palace, leaving a giant hole in its wake. I blew out a breath, exasperated and nervous. I wasn't ready to face this challenge, this escape. Not really. I lit my hands and approached the opening. "What are you doing?" Kenneth hissed. I ignored him, hoping that this new idea might be our ticket out of here. Slowly, I came closer, my hands out in front of me, engulfed in flame. I took one small step after another, cautiously waiting to be thwarted again, hoping to keep my hands. This is crazy. It didn't matter, though. Gradually, I got closer, and a few moments later, I felt my palms make contact with the shield. Of course, I should have known better, for instantly my hands began to burn, just like back in that room full of treasure. I stepped back, shaking my hands in the cool night air. I had gotten away just before true injury set in. Still, it hurt. "I don't know," I said. I walked over to them. "I think we might need to find another way out." Kenneth frowned. "I thought a sorcerer like you would be able to get us out of here." I raised an eyebrow. "I might be a sorcerer, but that doesn't mean I know how to do magic. I only know that which I've been taught, or that which has been an accident. Healing, for example, was something that simply came to me at a young age. Conjuring orbs of flame, however, was something I was taught." "What do we do now?" Brennen asked. He looked worried. "We're stuck," Kenneth said. I looked around at the walls surrounding the square, but I was still too nervous to head up there. They could easily be hiding. I turned to the others. "Some castles have secret entrances," I said. "Maybe this one does too. It could be that a secret entrance or exit might have been overlooked by someone seeking to control whoever came in or out." Kenneth looked up at the castle. "But how are we supposed to find something like that? If it's a secret—" "I don't know," I said, "but I have some ideas." I turned and walked away back toward the castle. This time, though, I intended to go straight down to the dungeons. It was a terrifying place to find oneself in, but that might have been the perfect place to hide and exit. The others were following closely behind, but all of us were silent. The sky was dark now, the moon not yet risen. We were burning time, and I didn't want to get stuck in the castle for yet another day. You might not have a choice. I tried to imagine what might happen if Torin were to appear. If that happened, I would certainly be overwhelmed by his magic. I'd long since thought I would be backed up by an army, but now my army was only of 2, 3, counting myself. It could be that I would meet my end sooner than later. As we approached the staircase, I said to the others, "We need to run up and grab the torch." I looked at Brennen, and he nodded his head. A moment later, he took off, running up the stairs. "What are these ideas you have?" Kenneth asked. "It seems we're in danger wherever we go." "Yes, it certainly does. Only I've had time to adjust to the idea of being chased, hunted. I think the closer we get to Eagleview, the harder our journey will become. Certainly he's got guards stationed around the city." I watched as Brennen reached the top of the stairs and disappeared inside the entry hall. My heart skipped a beat, and I took a couple of deep breaths, hoping I hadn't just made a mistake. But no, a few moments later, Brennen appeared, holding up the torch. He ran back down to us, out of breath, and only then did I see the worried look on his face. "We have to get out of here," he said as he reached us. "They're inside." I glanced at Kenneth, then all three of us began running toward the spiral staircase that led down to the dungeons. It was then that we heard the cries of the Wicks as they pursued us. I wasn't sure what kind of magic they held, but as soon as we started down the staircase, I set a protective shield at the entrance, hoping it would be enough to keep us alive. "Hurry," Brennen said, no longer worried about being silent. I considered shushing him, but we were in a rush. For our lives, and I didn't see the point. I was relieved, however, when we hit the bottom step. I stepped out in front of them, running as fast as I could toward the cells. It might have not taken long if the skeletons hadn't been blocking the hall. I tried to avoid stepping on them, crushing their bones with my boots, but it was difficult. Soon I gave up and ran flat out. Another few moments, and we were at the entrance to the dungeons. Behind the open doorway and stopped running, trying to catch my breath, trying to peek out from behind the roughly hewn stone, searching for our pursuers. Nobody came. My protection had been enough. "How many did you see?" I asked Brennen. He shrugged. "I don't know. 5?" I turned to Kenneth. "I only saw the 3. This was good news. It meant that the majority of the Wicks had gone back to their master. Either that or they were somewhere else, waiting for us to make a move. Well, I think we're safe for now, but we should start looking for a way out. I'd intended to start in the king's quarters because who else might have had such an exit at their disposal? But I fear we're stuck now. Here's hoping. I'll go first in case any of them are down here." I conjured my most powerful weapon, another orb, but before I walked ahead, I closed my eyes, reaching out with my mind, searching. There was nothing. "Follow me." But after a half hour of searching the edges of every inch of that place, we still found nothing. Frustrated, I threw the orb across the room, watching as it landed, stuck in one of the stone walls. "Maybe it's hidden," Kenneth suggested. "Is there any way you can tell?" "I'm not sure, but I guess I can try." I began walking around the same way we'd just done, only this time I held my hands out in front of me, running them along the rough stone walls. The hope was that I'd a magically concealed door, but again, I came up empty. "What do we do?" Brennen asked, sounding edgy. I looked down at him. "We keep trying. I don't see any other way. The Wicks have us trapped here. We can't let this go on too long, or else the next adversary we meet could be Torin himself." Kenneth nodded resolutely, but the look on Brennan's face was full of fear. "Where else can we go?" I asked. "Follow me," Kenneth said. He turned and walked on his way out of the dungeons. "Are you crazy?" Brennen asked. "They're out there. I saw them." "We're going to have to risk it," I said. "I don't see any other way. We can't just let ourselves be used, bait for the master who controls the Wicks." And then I had a terrible idea, an idea that just might work. I stopped walking, grabbing Kenneth's arm. "What if we don't try to hide?" I asked. "What if we let the Wicks who remain catch us and fly us out of this place?" "That's crazy," Kenneth said. "They'll take us right to Torin. You've said so yourself." We have we have 10 vials of light," I said. "That might be enough to last us 10 days, but that will be it, and that's only if we're lucky enough to not get injured. This will be the fastest way, and I might be able to control them." I looked at Kenneth nervously, wondering what he might be thinking, but he only frowned. "Control them?" I breathed, then let it out again. Well, I'd learned how to get inside their heads. I can probably find out what Torrance' plan actually is. I don't like doing it, but I'm very good at it. You could say it's my strongest power. Can you see into my head? Brennan asked. Yes, but I won't use it on you unless you want me to. I don't make it a habit of possessing friends. How much can you see? Kenneth asked. Everything, I said, but mostly I focus on communicating. Once I'm inside whomever I'm possessing, I can sway whomever I'm possessing. It doesn't always work because I still have to convince them, but it does come in handy. I once possessed a Wick, though he was nearly dead. I could see the control Torin had over him, but I also saw that there was still the smallest part of his consciousness, no more than a grain of sand. They are still in there. They're just hard to find. Kenneth suddenly looked angry, amplified by the fire of the torch lighting his face. My stomach twisted as for his verdict. Don't do it on me. Promise me, he said. I frowned, wondering what he might be hiding. Still, I owed him this measure of privacy. I won't, I said. I mean, if you change your mind, you can tell me. But I'm telling you now, there's a chance I might be able to sway the Wicks to our side. The anger on his face slowly started to drain away, and I was relieved to find he'd kept his judgment to himself. Still, I regretted telling them at all. It might have been smarter to just do it myself. After all, it was me Torn was after. I considered leaving them again, hoping for their safety, maybe even leaving them here in this terrible place while I went out and did what must be done. But then, what would happen if you were to die? They'd be trapped here. No, it wouldn't work. Maybe if the kingdom had fields of grain growing in the square, they might have had a chance. But the only thing in the square was proof of some evil having been here long ago. I would have to take them. It might be our only chance, I said. If there really are just 4 or 5 Wicks left here, I feel certain I can draw them out. And once we're in the air, I can bring them down with us. I thought about the first time I'd ever seen Wicks. They'd kidnapped me then, too. Now, with only a few of them to contend with, my confidence was starting to grow. I think it's a strong idea, I said. I can leave you here if you want, but then you run the danger of me dying and no one knowing where to find you. Not to mention, most sorcerers wouldn't be able to break through the enchantment to get to them. No, don't leave us, Brennan begged, gripping onto my arm and shaking it. I don't care if you need to get into my head. Just don't leave me behind. And what about you? I asked Kenneth. I cringed, waiting for his answer. Just stay out of my head, and let's go from there. I figured that the fastest way to get their attention was for us to climb up to the top of the wall. That was where they'd hovered before, though when I looked out from the spiral staircase into the square beyond, part of me hoped desperately not to find any of them who'd stayed behind. I saw no one, only the dead. Were the Wicks dead too? Almost, but not quite. I think we're okay for now, I said. We're just a couple flights of stairs away from the top of the wall. Are the two of you ready to go? I was surprised to find Kenneth's eyes were wide, fear outlining the contours of his face. What do you think? I asked him. I think this is crazy, but I don't see another way. Brennen grabbed onto my hand, but he looked resolute, ready for anything. Kenneth wasn't the only one who'd grown since I'd been away. Follow me, I said. I lit the tip of my new staff and continued up the staircase. At the top, I paused. Let them take you if they're here. I should be able to control them once we're all in the air. Both of them nodded, seemingly unwilling to speak. There's no point in being quiet, I said. We are hoping to be taken. When they didn't answer, I stepped out onto the wall and waited. At first, I saw nothing, heard nothing but the quiet footsteps of my friends. But it wasn't long before the first of the Wicks appeared. It was just one at first, and he circled around our little group, perhaps trying to keep us in one spot while waiting for his cohorts to arrive. I wondered if he was able to communicate with them. I felt certain he could. Closed my eyes, reaching out for his consciousness and pushing my way into his mind. As before, I saw that tiny grain of sand, felt that this beast created by Torin had once been a man, but that man was all but gone. Take us, I said to him silently. Go ahead. Then I heard it, a reply to my command. Laughter. If I must, the voice of Torin said to me, this will be great fun indeed. All right, so that was what I got down yesterday, and I'm feeling pretty good about it overall. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at jen@thehumanauthor.com. I'll be back here every day between Monday and Friday at 9 o'clock Pacific to read the work that I did the day before. Thank you for joining me.